Hello friends. There are so many games which get memed on for having spaghetti code or strange quirky bugs. For example, Super Mario 64. There are many glitches and online there's plenty of people that say it's not coded well, which really isn't true. But for the original Fallout, this is one of the only games that I've played where I am impressed that it actually manages to be playable. There are bugs in almost every major section of the game that removes some of the playability. For example, the quest with Dogmeat auto-completed for me. I was just next to the person who would give the quest, but somehow Dogmeat is there too, so I didn't even get the dialogue. I just completed it immediately, and got Dogmeat to follow me. Or within the Mariposa military base, there is a section with force fields. No matter what I tried, I could not get the force fields to go down. The radio hack didn't work. The computer that you can hack into somehow did not function after being hacked. Speaking of Dogmeat, he eventually just disappeared. He didn't die, he just didn't appear one time between maps. I thought it might have been radiation, but this was before I went to the glow. Maybe he had a poison effect, but this wasn't after a recent combat either. And then, unfortunately, I didn't notice this, so he was gone for good by the time I was like, oh hey, you know what, where's Dogmeat at? Despite these bugs, I really am okay with dealing with them. With old games, I've come to understand that there are going to be issues, such as the interface being buggy. As you can see, my inventory button is missing, and I have to access it through the hotkey. Bugs are the least of Fallout 1's problems. It's a sandbox top-down tactical RPG that has you go through a major quest of saving your vault and then saving the world from the mutant threat. Now call me filtered all you want, but the major issue with Fallout is how many times you get wrecked just for playing the game how you think you should play it. I'm not saying every build should be viable, but let me explain. For example, in the gameplay I'm showing right now, I'm exploring the map as something cool to do. Go to every square, which if you didn't know is something that old RPGs like Might and Magic and Wizardry is something fun to accomplish. Each unexplored square on the map could have something neat. However, in the process of doing that with my ally, I ended up being destroyed by mutants who can get random crits. I don't really like to save scum, so of course, me not saving after every single combat puts my progress back about 10 to 20 minutes. I did nothing wrong gameplay wise, my characters are well equipped, my stats are great, and her stats are great too. Katja is best girl, by the way. But by random chance I get critted for 1 billion damage and my ally is insta-gibbed. And it's not just my NPC, this has happened many times in so many combats. Taking a hit from heavy weapons critical is basically impossible to survive, as it does well over your max HP. So the only solution is to just save, reload, save, reload, save, reload. I don't really enjoy that because mistakes are supposed to be part of your playthrough, but Fallout really punishes you if you try to do it. The combat is also nothing really to write home about either. It's very much a click X to win. You can tank every hit, you can turn on targeting for extra fun, but to me the shooting system of Fallout games have always been boring and bland. It's just stat checks. And stat checking isn't the problem on its own, but when you have a very tedious and slow combat, it becomes boring. Now on to the good. I do like the variety in the weapons, and even here I'm using a Red Ryder BB gun despite having far better weapons available. It's neat to experiment, and I'm sure everyone has their own favorite. For me, I really like the 223 pistol, which is what you get when you save a farm from some raiders. I really love the sprites and graphics for the game. The details are well done. The music is so dark ambient and it fits perfectly in the theme. You really do feel like a wasteland wanderer going from place to place and seeing many things. The dialogue and writing for the game is great too. It's not overbearing or long-winded, most of the conversations feel real, and it definitely feels believable. It also gives you choice, which is what the game is known for. You get a choice in how to handle NPCs and a choice of what you want to do. I think there is a bit of misunderstanding with meaningful choices in games, and while Fallout 1 doesn't really have meaningful decisions for most of the game, it makes you feel emotion when you choose a solution. Unlike, for example, the infamous Mass Effect 3 where you have different color endings, Fallout has choices that really do make an impact. For example, one of the first big choices is to pick Killian or Gizmo in Junktown. Do you want to be evil or do you want to be good? And after doing that, many NPCs are thankful, pessimistic, or can cause the whole town to turn against you. There are also so many little touches of fun throughout the game, for example stumbling upon a random encounter with stampeding Brahmin, or finding the TARDIS from Doctor Who. By the way, I am playing Fallout Fixt, which fixes the game up for modern systems and also adds some enhancements. Now for a sad reveal. I admit that I have tried to play Fallout 3 different times, and this is my first time actually completing the game. Supposedly this game is fairly easy, but each time I had a serious playthrough, something went drastically wrong. The first time I ended up messing myself up by making a horrible non-combat character. I could barely get past the rats, and by the time I was encountering mutants, it was game over. Which I didn't mind, and then, for the second time, I decided to make a decent combat character without it being too OP, and a little bit of balance between like outdoors, have some charisma, have speech, have barter, have gambling, and just more of a fairly balanced type character. But I messed up myself by not understanding radiation. See, I had no idea what Rad-X was. I thought the only way you could get rid of radiation was through Radaway, which is, if you didn't know, a very limited item in the game. I think there are only around 40 in the game total. One of the vendors sells it, but it doesn't replenish, even after, weeks or months. So, when going to the Glow, I spent all my Radaway as I was exploring. I also thought that the line over 1,000 rads in the stat screen meant that you died instantly if you went over 1,000 rads. So, when I didn't die, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm, good to go and it'll be recoverable. I just kept going and thought everything was going to be okay. I had spent at least an hour or two exploring every inch of the Glow and consolidating items into a chest, only to realize I could never leave because I had 2,500 rad. After this, I decided to wait and play Fallout in a year or so. And then decided to make the most OP disgusting character possible. I used gifted and high intelligence, which pretty much breaks the game stat-wise. This isn't bad at all, part of the fun is playing the game in different ways. However, I don't really think I'll play again, but if I do, then I want to do a melee-only run. So, in conclusion, I do like Fallout. I give it a 3 out of 5 and do recommend it. I don't mind the clunky interface, sometimes annoying camera angle, and overall I think it has a lot of soul. But I can understand that with the gameplay and outdated feel, it's not for everyone. To me, I feel like it's an overrated, mediocre RPG that's heavily flawed, and I'm really surprised that it was so successful. A friend of mine told me to play Fallout 2, and so maybe Fallout 2 is where the magic is. So what do you think of the original Fallout? Is it really all that, or does it fall short in your opinion as well? Thanks for watching my review. I'm going to talk about some spoilers after this, so be warned. War. War never changes. So at the end of the game, the Master can be defeated by talking to him and telling him that mutants can't breed by examining the females. He ends up having a great grief at this and ultimately just decides to commit suicide. But to me, I really wonder why he gives up. It's very odd to me that he would do that considering he has a lot of technology, he has a lot of information. He can clearly, modify certain things with biology, although he didn't create the FEV virus. It's clear that he has the ability to modify it. So to me, I'm just very curious and kind of confused about why he would just suddenly, oh, you convinced me otherwise, which is kind of cool, I would say, but I feel like the way you convince him is not very good. But I do understand that it's meant for high charisma or high speech. So it's not really logical. You're just convincing him in the moment and then he decides to suicide, which it doesn't really feel satisfying me, but it's kind of funny. Another thing to mention is that I don't understand why he has an atomic bomb in the church. Why would he want to commit suicide? I mean, I get the whole factionalism thing and like maybe if the Brotherhood of Steel came in to attack, he would want to self-destruct, but why? At that point, you've already kind of lost. So why would you care, I guess? I don't know. Some things just don't match. But overall, it was, I guess it's a pretty cool ending. I like it. It's just a little bit flubbed. By the way, I didn't make this video because of the recent Fallout TV show. I doubt I'll ever watch it. It seems like trash. I've been meaning to beat Fallout, and I've finally done it. So, see you next video.